Hey, listeners, and also hello to my frequent flyers, which is just the people who subscribe to my podcast and listen every week. Thank you so much. I say this every time, but literally every time I see someone downloads this podcast, I'm so thrilled. So, welcome to Baggage Claim. I'm your host, Lauren Osborne, and on this podcast, we like to examine the contents of our own baggage and then pick what we want to check in and what souvenirs we're bringing with us. As we enter the new year, I thought that we could talk on this episode with my beautiful and amazing and talented guest, Brigette Stanley, about New Year's resolutions. Are they friends or are they foes? Do you make them or do you not? And also, we are giving just a highlight reel of the best things that happened to us in 2023. As always, I appreciate you listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll say it until it happens. Free Palestine till it's backwards. Enjoy! Hey listeners, welcome to Baggage Claim. I'm your host, Lauren Osborne, and as we know, on this podcast, it's a place where everyone has baggage. It looks different for everyone. In each episode, we examine the contents of our luggage, we decide what souvenirs we want to keep, and what baggage we want to check. I have an amazing guest with me. I have recorded with her, but you have not heard her, and this time you will. I'm here with the beautiful Brigette.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Brigette Stanley. Yeah, Brigette
Okay.
Stanley.
Sometimes people want them both. Sometimes people just want it solo. How are you?
I'm doing good. I cannot believe we are fastly approaching 2024. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this meme, or maybe it was a video, or it was a TikTok. I don't know which one it was, but it was like, people are talking about it's turning 2024, and I'm like, I feel like I'm 5 years behind. I feel like part of my being is actually still in 2019 a little bit.
Mm-hmm,
I think there was like a time warp.
Mm-hmm.
Time changed, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Because now I feel like either things are either time is flying by or I'm at a slower pace.
It's something to that degree, but I definitely resonate. I pause when I realize that we are 24 years into the millennium. And it's so crazy to think about that and being around for the 1999, everyone was fearful. So it's so crazy. But
yes, it was like Y2K.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
Yeah.
And it's also frightening to be like, well, I lived in the 1900s.
But hey, we earned our stripes.
Like,
so
late 1900s.
Yes, late. The last 10 years of the 1900s, I was alive.
The final one.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into like our warm-up questions. I have my regular ones, and I've already asked them, but I did them in the housewife setting. So I'm going to switch it up for you guys because Brigette is special. What, for this week, or you could say this month, what was your rose and what was your thorn?
Oh, I have way more roses than thorns. The rose was I went to LA to take a dance class. It was a 24-hour trip, just solely what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it. So I really enjoyed that. And my thorn, I can't really say I have a thorn, which is probably really good. But, I guess my thorn was I didn't get to buy more holiday decor that I wanted to buy. So that's probably it.
And that thorn could end up being a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
Because you have to like pack those things and bring them with you.
You do. And what's so crazy, I think Instagram has a big part of it. But when, we used to not buy new holiday decor.
Yes.
And so in a way it was like, well, you're used to recycling what you've already had. But I think just seeing all the new cute stuff and not really putting that much effort into it, that was probably the thorn for sure.
Okay. I feel like for this month, my rose would be my freedom and leaving my corporate job in such a good, healthy place and good terms, not burning bridges. Bridge is still there, and I made tunnels. I think that was the rose. And for my regular listeners, you already know what my thorn is. It's been the same thorn for 3 months, and that is the war on Palestinians. So that would be it.
Understood.
Okay, so I have these questions now, right? They're supposed to help bring in the conversation, and I think they're a good warm up, right?
Okay.
Because I could say, what does joy look like to you? But I feel like you already told me, but I think you told me in a housewife setting.
Okay.
So what does joy look like?
For me, joy is really accepting life as it comes. I think I have let go of so much worry once I realized that there was a plan for me, and the path that I'm supposed to take is supposed to be that, and I can't control others. So joy is just really knowing that I don't have to do too much. I think that's what it is. It's very freeing, for sure.
I love that. All right, shall we pick a card?
Sure.
Or we get to tell each other our cards and tell the listeners.
If all your exes got together, what's one complaint they all would agree on?
Ooh, could be a couple, but I think that is a bad thing that I have.
What's one complaint? Yeah.
Complaint. I can throw tantrums. And in those tantrums, it's not like screaming, slamming doors. It's like I can kind of pick. And my mom also said I also have a very sharp tongue. And one thing that I've heard from 2 exes was, God, you can be kind of cruel. So that would be mine. I think those would be it.
Okay, understood. If all my exes got together, I think the complaint would be not tantrums, but I have a very take it or leave it attitude. Which I think translates that I don't care. And yeah, I've left people on ice for a long time. I have no problem with the silent treatment.
Yeah, I do.
I have no problem leaving you on red, blocking you, not caring if you want to talk to me. And that can be hard in a relationship. So I think that has been the complaint. And sometimes I got left for it. But hey, I would be lying if I said that I haven't heard that a few times.
Right. See, I love the honesty. We're unloading here. Okay. If a museum had an exhibit about you, what items would they put on display? On display.
On display. Definitely puzzles. I love doing jigsaw puzzles. So that would be there. Probably a picture of Beyonce and probably a TV or a remote. And maybe a little tequila.
I like that. I think.
And my dog.
Right? I feel like on display, for me, there'd definitely be like a TV. I think there would be headphones because I'm a book on taper kind of person. I love audiobooks. There would definitely be something with glitter and portraits of my dog, probably like some rave bracelets, some plur bracelets for my youth, and I don't know, hopefully a pond or like a little koi fish pond.
Oh, wow.
I soothe myself with water.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's just a short little, museum of me, but,
Right? I never really thought like what all would be on
I have no idea, but there's something pink for sure. For sure. That's like pink, my color.
Random. I don't know. It'd probably be random.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm all over the place. Those are really great questions. Okay. Would you rather go to jail for a murder you never committed or kill someone and never got caught?
Oh, God.
Kill someone and never get caught.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would have to deal with that on Judgment Day, but I am totally fine with not being in jail.
Yes, I watch I listen to a lot of the Innocence Project podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. Would you have me in jail for a crime I didn't? Okay. The final warm up or icebreaker question. How well would you get along with someone exactly like you?
I think I'd get along okay. We wouldn't be best friends because, again, I'm very moody and I can be a little distant, nonchalant. But I do have this deep sense of communication needs to be from a place of understanding, of curiosity. So I think I would get along with someone like me, but we wouldn't be best friends.
That's a fair answer. I think I would get along with me. I don't know. I think we would get along really well. I think we could annoy each other because I sometimes annoy myself and I know I can annoy other people. And I'm not sure how much we'd get done productive wise. You know what I mean? Like, listen, they're type A people. I'm a B minus, you know? So I don't know how well actually, but all right. Maybe not super close, but acquaintances.
Yeah. I'm very opinionated and I can go off the cuff and be a little judgmental. And it takes a very strong-minded person, Teflon type of personality, I think, that could deal with that. So
right.
We'd be cool. We'd be cool.
Would be cool. I like that. Okay, so let's get into what we're talking about today, which is, well, what we kind of said at the beginning. 2024 is literally, at this point, 2 days away. So we are talking about this episode. What we're getting into is we're going to do maybe a highlight reel, maybe the wins of 2023, not even the wins, maybe lessons learned, whatever, just a highlight reel of 2023. And then our main topic we're going to talk about today is resolutions. Friend or foe? What do they look like? Why? Why not? And then, of course, we get to check in some baggage and pick some souvenirs. Does that sound good?
Love it.
Okay, so let's get into it. If you were going to pick, and I know it's been a long year, and I do feel like time, like they said, I just rewatched True Detective. So I don't know if I love season 1, the first season of it. Of course, I watched the other ones, but he always said time is a flat circle. No, flat surface. That's what he said. And I was like, I'm not sure if that's true, but I also know, and like if we live on the third dimension, if you're on the fourth, it wouldn't look like a sphere like it looks for us. It would look like a circle, right? And I feel almost that way based on what we mentioned earlier, which is time is flying by. I cannot believe we're about to enter in 2 days, like 2024. Y2K was going to be 24 years ago. And I remember actually the New Year's before that, because Prince's "We're Gonna Party Like It's 1999."
Yeah.
My parents had like a party. New Year's Eve, by the way, is my mom's birthday. So we'll get into that right on Friend or Foe on resolutions. But so there was always like a celebration, and that was just a big one. And yeah, R.I.P. Prince. Who was also a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know if you ever knew that.
I think I did.
So I guess you don't have to do a whole highlight reel, but what's a highlight for 2023 for you?
I think when I chose to be less boy crazy, and really when I chose to stop forcing things, just whether it's relationship, career, friendship, family, once I really chose to let things unfold organically, my life got a lot lighter and I would say even a little bit easier. So that was a highlight because it catalyzed so many other things to happen, such as, I was able to recognize I wanted to change my career. I ended some friendships that actually, I guess, just needed to end. I went to, Beyonce concert by myself. Some of my friends were in the section, but I did a lot of things just solely with me in mind. And I really saw a turning point in my mental. So highlight for sure.
Do you know what was the catalyst that you were like, I'm done?
Yeah. So it was probably, it honestly started maybe January of 2023, but I just got so exhausted with a particular situationship and just always feeling on eggshells, like my nerve system just was constantly being rattled.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally just said, enough. I need to take a break. I need to put men on the back burner. I need to just focus on me. Like I can take a couple of months to just not worry about them. And wow, what a difference that has been for sure. And I still feel that way. I just didn't know it would span the whole year.
Not a crime, especially if it was. I mean, has it been a while since you had not been like in the dating, like in the talking to phase? I feel that. I don't even know if I was boy crazy versus I deeply wanted, like, I just didn't want to be solo dolo, right? Like I could do solo dolo, I could do the friends, but I was always also used to kind of having a significant other around, you know?
Yeah. I definitely will say I have always received a lot of male attention, male
That's
validation.
funny.
My entire teenage to 20s to 30s. So I realized I was addicted. It was an addiction essentially. But now I will say I've been on dates, I've talked to guys, but I have no interest in forcing it. I used to always look at men like, let me see if I can get him to be my boyfriend. He be Mr. Maybe? And I did that with every man that I was interested in. So this year, obviously I've been approached and I've went on dates, but there is no urgency or desire to turn it into anything.
Right. And it could be a good thing because I feel like, well, it is a good thing, right? You just said it was. I think for me, I feel like I started mine in July. I started my Just for Me July, right? Just
Love
for
it.
me.
Yes.
And that is I would say one of the highlights on the highlight reel was starting the Just for Me July. And it brought me to a place that when I go out to like dance and be in community with my friends. It's not for the male gaze. It's not I want to get talked to. I'm a Libra. I love attention. Like, let's not kid. I'm not listeners.
Same.
Let's be real, right?
Same.
Who doesn't? Some people don't actually, but I
But
do.
Yeah.
But the attention, it always just felt fleeting and kind of still does. And it's okay with me because I just, especially like if you are a new listener, like, hey, I've now been officially married or divorced. There we go. Divorced for a full year. Woo.
Love it.
And I
love pause. Let me say I don't love divorce, but I love that you had enough courage to end something that wasn't working.
Yes.
So there you go.
I will say that. Like, I'm not a fan of divorce. Guys, if you're gonna get married, I'm not one of those people that say, like, make it work for the kids. Like, nah, right? They didn't choose to be here. But I will say it's a very expensive endeavor, even if you want to do it on the cheap, unless you do it on the cheap, right? It's a big investment. And I don't think you should walk into it thinking, I can leave it or I can get a divorce. I never got married thinking that I would, right? So it was a discovery year because I had already been separated, right? For a year prior to that. So it was like a double discovery year, but I can say that after being married and then now going back out on these tragic streets and then deciding after I did that, that it was going to be a just for me. I just now I know how to nurture myself, and I know how I want to be nurtured and loved and cared for. And I am just not going to compromise on that. And I just feel like right now I'm not even really seeking that. And I think that's kind of what it is. They say like it's when you're not looking. I'm not looking. I'm not running, but I am finding like contentment with myself. And I think that's a win.
Yeah, I will say, and obviously, we can move on, but I will say
Yeah.
I kind of stopped, even for me personally, stopped looking at like the dating streets and all that stuff negatively. I just had to stop internalizing other people's feelings. I had to stop
Yes.
internalizing them because, once I really showed up again as my true self, I realized that there are just going to be some people that like you and don't. And I was comfortable with that. So I really got comfortable with just people feeling how they wanted to feel. And I don't really look at the dating scene as bad or anything. I just know that if I show up as my true self, there are going to be people who aren't going to like it. And I'm okay with it.
And for a listener that was like, is saying, damn, I'm really trying to get there. If you could give them one step to doing that, what would that look like?
I would say the first step would be to accept truly that life cannot be lived without offense. And I think that really was kind of the
Without offense?
yes, without offense.
Okay.
No offense, like offensive,ness, like offense.
Offense. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
OFFENSE.
yeah, ENSIVE.
Well, offense.
Yeah, offense. Sorry.
Got it.
Um, so life cannot be lived without offense. And if you really accept and understand that people are going to offend you, people are going to hurt your feelings, people are going to be selfish, you don't internalize it so much. You just understand that's the way of the world. It's bound to happen. And I think it just gives you a tougher, layer of skin.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the biggest thing. Accept that offense is going to happen. It just is.
Right. I like it. I like it. That's a good highlight. That's a good 2023 highlight. I would say for me, I think really I did I put up a lot of boundaries for myself starting early last year because I just, family, friends, not, and I also changed some friend circles, right? Had to keep some ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were seasons, right? I think that this year I made myself get outside because I had become kind of like reclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like after COVID-19, like I also lived in Florida, right? Like I ran. Let's be honest, I
Yeah.
ran from my marriage, and because it was just a bad situation, a toxic, unhealthy situation.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother was in Florida. So when I came back to Dallas, it was literally like brand new, right? New last name still, but I had never gotten an apartment before. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
had never gotten an apartment before. I bought all new furniture, right? Like I like decorated, you know what I mean? Like it was just mine. And
Yeah.
my life is mine. And that is such a big highlight for 2023 because even through just, whew, my gosh, right? There were so many good moments. And I think also kind of I'm at more of like an acceptance stage. I'm like grieving my mom passing because that happened right in 2020. And it always feels like it's 3 years now, but it feels like yesterday, right?
Yes. Yes.
But I was able to talk about it more, and talk about my mom more, talk about my family more, and accept that, hey, you don't pick your family because I feel like bless them, love them, hot mess,
Mm-hmm.
and that I could kind of build a community. I joined a meetup group. I then became a leader of this group and a host and did all these things, dealt with that. I mean, I had thought I had not seen like mean girl behavior, but I got a rude awakening. However, that led to starting, another group, and it's thriving right now. So it made me break out of my shell and accept also like my quirks. Like I feel like I'm a really good masker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't want to mask anymore. Like, yeah, I sing talk because that helps me stay on. I just have my own quirks, right? I used to feel weird, not weird, but kind of like I would like not super shared that I was like a neurospicy person, right? Like I didn't want people to know, like, hey, you have to take medication for that. Like I wasn't like, I felt that there was kind of a shame with that. And I feel like in 2023 I really left that behind and like realized like if a person has to take, like if a person is diabetic, they take what insulin, I take my medication because it helps me be like a functional person. So I think it was I got to put the spotlight actually on me, which it hadn't been in I don't know how long, and it's been lovely.
That's awesome. I read this saying and it stuck with me. I think I read it in about July, but it says, God won't bless the person you pretend to be. And so
Mm,
I think what
love
you're
that.
saying, I know, right? It's stuck.
Hmm.
And I think it's going to stay with me forever so my kids can learn it. But I think that's what I hear when
Hmm.
shared that with me, owning your quirks and accepting them, because that's who we were designed to be. And,
Hmm.
if you try to mask it or you try to pretend, it's going to make you sick, not
Right.
being who you are.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's really cool to hear. And I'm proud of you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, listeners, we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back. Hey, listeners, welcome back to Baggage Claim. I am here with the beautiful Brigette Stanley,
Hello.
and we're talking about year end things because in 2 days it will be 2024. And I feel like for the world, I'm sure it feels like a lot. And I feel like for some people, you ever think like, holy crap, that was like the worst year of my life, right?
Mhm.
I have had those. I feel blessed and honored that this year was not one of them, right?
Right.
But if you are having kind of a rough one in 2023, joy does come in the morning and this too shall pass. And I know it may sound freaking ridiculous, but you made it this far and in 2 days, we're in 2024. And I'm proud of you for all of that. I just went on a like soapbox. I'm sorry. Hey.
No, that was great. That was great. I think that's very relatable. There are some people like 2023 wasn't it was a good year for me as well, but
Hmm.
I had a friend previously in 2022 that had a really rough year and
Hmm.
she needed that exact affirmation and she went on and had a great 2023. So you never know
Hmm.
who that's going to touch.
It's going to be all right, y'all. We're going to make it. Any other highlights? And we can go we could do a quick, what if you would say pop culture or things that were like, bam, 2023? That just stuck, that it was just like, wow.
Yeah, honestly, Beyonce Renaissance. I know that happened 2023, but the concert definitely took place in
Hmm.
this year. To see so many people feel liberated and inspired and got into the movement
Hmm.
and all of the chrome and the silver and just the energy that took
Hmm.
place. Actually, I will walk that back. I'll say Beyonce mixed with Taylor Swift, mixed with Barbie. It was women dominating pop culture all 2023. And that was awesome to see.
I feel like, yes, Renaissance. The whole time you were talking, two things just kept flashing in my mind. One was, look around, everybody, I'm you, right?
Yes.
Like that. And then and I'm gonna hop into another highlight. She ain't no diva.
I have literally been saying that. I'm like, she ain't no diva, but she ain't no diva.
And I want to thank, because you know how like in 2020, 2021, TikTok and Instagram, it was very choreographed, right? A lot of movement. Can I just give a shout out for 2023 to the creators, the people making videos, the people putting these slides together, like Bravo and Botox. Like, I thank you for finding these tweets and collecting them. I thank you, creators. And I'm not going to say influencers because that's not who I am scrolling to see, honestly. It is the creators. It could be funny, it could be deep, it could be historical. Whatever it is, I appreciate it because the girl, I cannot think of her name right now, but who did the She Ain't No Diva.
Yes, I
I
love
mean,
her.
I love her. And
Yes.
she, even on bad days, these creators would like crack me up. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
the fun, like I appreciate you being regular people that also are very creative and blessed us with videos. Let me throw that out there. That's another.
Absolutely. Definite like mood lighteners. They probably helped a lot of people stop from crying, and they kept friendships going.
Yeah. Right?
So yeah, the content creators of 2023, you did your thing, and
Yes.
I cannot wait to see what you come up with in 2024, but you have put so many midnight belly laughs
Yes.
out there for the universe. I can dig it.
Right. I thank you. And also just to the another highlight to the highly unserious people that we live with in the world, because there is a thread that I saw and you're like, that happened this year where the Carly Russell, remember, who was kidnapped, but she wasn't.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
the response and the humor. I mean, because after we got,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you're not going to cry about it, you've got to kind of laugh about it. And the humor and the tweets, I mean, thank you just for
Absolutely
bringing like tears to my eyes on certain things.
Same with was it the Montgomery battle?
Montgomery Brawl.
I mean, the jokes just couldn't stop. It was, I mean, you need people like that who can just pull a hat out of nowhere, and you're like, I'm crying and I feel guilty, but I can't stop.
The Titan submersive.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there was a lot of things that went down. And honestly, had not these people with these random people all over the place, right? Like, I don't know their names, but I know they brought me joy. The reenactments, all of them. And then you were like, the internet can't be defeated. It just can't. Another highlight. Okay. Now let's get into like the meat and potatoes, or if you're a vegan or vegetarian, the sides. Okay. I went pescatarian once. I could do it again. Okay. Since 2024 is around the corner, everyone has like, or not everyone, let's talk about New Year's resolutions, right? People do them. I used to do them. I can understand why, but let's get into why or why not. Do you do New Year's resolution?
I actually stopped, I think, 2022. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them. For me personally, I think it's too high of like, they can be too what's the word, too far out in planning. And it takes away some of the organicness, the unfolding of life. It takes some of that away from me, so I kind of stopped, and I never really kept my resolution. So
either I don't think I don't know if I ever did. I don't do them because New Year's Eve is my mom's birthday, and I don't celebrate it differently. I'm honestly rushing to January 1st. And maybe at some point that'll change, but it also kind of changed how I like celebrate and how I like move on into the next year, because I don't want to run into the following year kind of like broken or like, running away from another one. So instead of like resolutions, I feel like I make like usually one or two promises. I make one to, my mom, and I make one to myself, right? And they're not ones like lose 10 pounds or quit vaping. Trying so hard. Okay. I got my cough drop nicotine. I'm trying, but I feel like they are ones that are like last year it was courage, right? Like be brave. And I feel like I was brave this year, you know?
Mhm.
And I feel like the promises that I make are, you know, I just want to be like a decent person. And then depending on, I never really plan ahead what I'm going to say or what promise I'm going to make. I just kind of do it when the clock strikes, if I'm awake.
Yeah.
So I'm usually at home.
Yeah. That's definitely, losing a parent or a spouse or losing anyone on a major holiday. I have not experienced that yet. And I say yet because I don't know what's going to, unfold for
Mhm.
me. But I could definitely see how it changes the way you celebrate and changes what you think about the new year or, so that's interesting, but I really like that you make a promise to your mom and yourself. That's a really great way to look at, celebrating the new year.
Mhm.
For me, me being a writer and kind of a little bit of a storyteller, I like to look at my life as a story. So the only thing I really said for 2024 was I just want to, continue the follow up,
Right.
just follow up to what I started in 2023. And I feel like that just gives me so much grace to make mistakes
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and really just know the core values of I need to take care of myself first. I need to be authentic to me. And the rest of the lessons will come as they come,
Mhm.
So that's really cool that you make a promise. I think I'll look into seeing what promise could I make to myself going into 2024.
Right. I'm trying to think of because I usually do them on the spot. I can make a commitment to my listeners that I love this podcast and I'm committed to this baggage claim podcast for
Mm-hmm.
2024. But that is a commitment, that the promise I'm making to myself. I need them. They have to only, like, for me, it has to be like internally tangible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like for 2024, I think, I really want to learn. Like, I feel like, every day we're learning, but I really want to be almost like a sponge of like receiving. Like, I don't want to hear to respond. I want to hear to receive. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be, a sponge and like absorb it because my memory is trash. But I think that it's something that, if in order for me to be that sponge, to be the student of the world, right? There are things that like I have to like let go of, and like a big distraction for me is my cell phone. Like, it is my kryptonite. But I think that if I can promise, to be like a student of the world, right? Because I call myself a global citizen. Okay. I don't believe in borders. They're man made, they're made up. But I want to make sure that in all of these experiences, because my life is dramatically about to change, that I don't want to, I don't even want to lead it with the negative, right? That's why I'm like, the promises, I think for me is like to be a student, be an apprentice of the world and leave the ideals that I have here, right? Especially in the States, like behind, they can still be with me, but there's room for more.
Yeah, I realize for me when it comes to resolutions,
Hmm.
I think a lot of times resolutions in some way subconsciously are ways for us to beat ourselves up.
Hmm.
Oh, I want to read 10 books this year. Or like you said, I want to lose 10 pounds. Or
Hmm.
I want to get back into the church more. Whatever it is, subconsciously, you're looking at the wrongs of
Right.
whatever you did in the year before. And now
Hmm.
you want to overcorrect them and and fix them. I think that leads me to my most disappointment because in that way, I'm still not being honest with myself.
Right.
I love reading.
Hmm.
I'm going to read when it feels organic to me.
Right.
If I find a great book that I want to read nonstop, then I'm going to read it and I'm going to complete it. And that should be as much of an accomplishment. I've done the weight loss resolutions
Yes.
so much and I have hated my body every year that I've done
Mm-hmm.
that. So I just make it a goal to just try to move your body a little bit a couple of times a week if you can. And
Right.
I end up overdoing it that way because I'm not setting a bar so high that's rooted in disappointment. So I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes like resolutions, if you have the positive mindset where you know it's just a added layer onto what you've already learned, cool, that's great. But I
Mm-hmm.
would really challenge the listeners here. Figure out, are your resolutions rooted in you not feeling good about yourself? And if so, maybe you try a different approach. Maybe you don't, set so high of an expectation where you end up disappointing yourself all year long.
Right. Yes. I think that your resolution, it needs, if it's like, I want to lose 10 pounds, if it's something like that, like those can be goals, right? Like those can be, I feel like the reason I really pause on resolutions, right, is because the year that I had made like my resolutions, right, celebrating my mom's birthday, my mom passed away on January 18th. And my year was not that year anymore, right? Like everything it was a lot, right?
Hmm.
Devastating. And when I switched it to like a promise, it was because this promise, I feel like you keep your promises, but I made it to where it was something that if I was looking for sanctuary, I think it would be in that promise. And so I think for the listeners, like consider that whatever, if it's a resolution or anything, that let it be a sanctuary, that is why you were wanting to do it. It's not because you want to change something, it's because in that change, what leads to a place that you want to be, your paradise, your safe space. And I feel like other resolutions will lead me because I feel like I'm my harshest critic, man. My self-talk has improved, but my gosh, I can be very hard on myself. And I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes I'll be kind of looking for, if I can't control the things around me in certain ways, then it'll go inward. And then I'll lead to, well, you were supposed to do this and you were supposed to do that. And I feel like it is really good to have like a routine and have kind of a plan, but I'm not a type A person. I'm a B minus, C
Hmm.
plus person. Okay. You know, I like
Yeah.
to say I'm fluid, and I also feel like I can like detach, like I can literally go into, I always forget this word and it'll come to me, disassociate. Right.
Hmm.
And so I can do that to where I can kind of like numb out. Like if I feel like I'm not even going to make this resolution, I'm not even going to make this goal, I'll just numb out and then just stop doing it. And I feel like that's not a way to live. I feel like you're like enslaving yourself. So when you make a resolution, like it needs to be a sanctuary. It can't be a prison. And that's what I would say.
Yeah. I look at resolutions, to me, I'm very anti self help.
So
I'm
fan
very
or foe? Foe, right?
foe. Foe
Yeah.
for me. I'm
Hmm.
very anti self help. There's something about it to me that feels like you're always treating yourself like a project. You're
Hmm.
always, like you're on this home improvement project. You're always trying to improve, improve, improve. And I think we really discredit the state of just being.
Yeah.
And you know, the not doing resolutions really just has taught me to just be and
Hmm.
accept curveballs and be comfortable throwing a few back. But I think for me, resolutions, I'm so turned off. And
Hmm.
I've really seen a difference with just my mental, because I'm not measuring myself up to anybody, anything, any specific, I need to do this. I'm just kind of letting life carry me to the next step, and how I
Yeah.
react is how I react.
I like that. I think you gotta, I know people are like, go with the flow. What does that mean, stoner? And I'm like, I feel like sometimes you gotta just go with it. I mean, I feel like this year I think was very much me still trying to like control everything, right? Which it's just kind of like my nature. But as this year has progressed and I've learned a lot, about myself and, let go of things, accepted things, and understood myself so much better. I feel like without interruptions or like the yapping around me, that going into this like upcoming year, I don't really need a resolution, right? Like it's the revolution actually. Like that's kind of how I feel. I
Yeah.
feel very much like I see things clearly now. And it's a good thing. I think it's an affirming thing. I think, especially feeling like, because for me, I really like it's me and my pups. Like I have family, I have a brother, but he doesn't live here. It's been like, I felt like relied on like certain people, right? I did have like these staples in my life. And then honestly, in a year, they were all not there. And so it was a big gut punch and it was so crippling and all these things. But like right now I'm feeling very Gypsy Rose. I'm feeling very free. I'm feeling like I'm just excited to see honestly what happens. I think that's what it is. I think also now I know that like it does get better. Like this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like kind of in everything before I could catastrophize, even if it was like a little thing, even if it was like, I don't know, even an outfit thing, I'd be like, I've got to get this outfit. It's got to have this look. Like I do like my certain looks and I can have an appreciation like for detail and how I want certain things to go. But if they don't go that way, like I can't catastrophize it. Like there are bigger things we've got bigger fish to fry. Like let it go and just move on. And like, I also like have this deep, I feel like faith and understanding that it is going to be okay. Like there are things planned for you and you've got to just trust.
Yes.
Trust yourself, and for the people around you that you realize you can trust, like appreciate them, nurture them, and like grow with them.
I love that. I think that's pretty awesome.
Heck yeah. Okay, so we got to our resolutions. Let's get to what are we checking in? What are we checking in on this episode?
Yeah.
I've got a few.
Okay, show me how what you have in mind. So give me an example and that'll give me something to work with.
Okay, something that I am leaving behind in 2023. My addiction to my phone. And I have literally found a support group. I got a phone lockbox because I'm doing the things to help me. I'm not perfect. I don't think it's going to go perfectly, but my shackle to scrolling on this device, I'm leaving that in 2023. And that's on that.
I left my career in marketing where I put it on pause.
Mm-hmm.
And
On pause. You're
yes,
just on pause, right?
just
If you have
on
to jump
pause.
into it, let me
Yes.
know.
I've put it on pause to see what I can do with my other talents.
Mm-hmm.
So I am putting my fallback, I'm checking in my fallback plan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm checking in my safety net, and I am going to see what my ideas and my dreams and my desires, where that can take me. So I think that's what I'm leaving in 2023.
I think you're going to kill it because my description was like my phone, and you gave a whole picture, and you're really good at storytelling. And I think you're going to thrive. But I love that. I feel like I just left my corporate job, right? I'm leaning into this podcast and also leaning in to a new life overseas, which I'll still be doing my show and still be popping in and having guests, and it's going to be amazing. But I feel like I'm leaving behind a safety net and I don't have a back plan. I really don't. So it's literally get on this plane.
Yeah.
Think about the girls. Think about the girls.
Yes.
Shelby and Dolly.
Yes.
Shelby and Dolly.
Oh my goodness. We still need to find out the context of that. But yeah, that's going to be an awesome adventure for you. And I think it'll be an awesome adventure for all of our listeners, whatever like your listeners, whenever you're,
Yes.
checking in, it doesn't have to, it can be, something tangible, intangible. The catalyst of, my last year, stop forcing things has really led me to, you know, a whole nother like perception of life. Like I only get one of these. Wait, no, seriously, I only get one time to live as Brigette Stanley. Wow. So, it kind of gives you a kick in the pants. So, I've done marketing for 10 years and I'm really good at it. And but I have so many other talents and things that I want to do with my creativity, but I will never even try if I'm always leaning on, that safety. So, nervous, but it'll be good.
I think you're going to thrive. I feel it in the air. I feel it because I think if you have courage, it's going to do it. And you do. You did it. I can, again, West Coast. I'm just saying. And I think you're going to be amazing. I feel like I'm living on a prayer. Like I feel like the song, I think before would be like so anxious that I'd be like, I can't, I've got to find another way. Like I can't like leave my job yet. Right. Because I'm not going for, a couple more months, but I didn't want to say anymore. I mean, affirmations, guys, speak things into existence because I remember telling my therapist like 6 months ago or something. I was like, I do know for sure that I will not start the new year doing what I'm doing now because I'm not fulfilled and I want to be doing something else. And there it is. It's already happened. So I feel like trusting. I guess for a souvenir, then we'll get into our souvenirs before we close out and do like final thought. I feel like I have a few souvenirs actually. I think this is going to be a carry-on souvenir, right? I am bringing with me courage. I had always wanted to have my own podcast and I do actually. Guys, I'm pretty sure there are more podcasts called Baggage Claims. So if you're listening to this one, thank you. I really appreciate you. You're the best. You're the greatest. But I wanted to do this and I was like, why not me? Right. I think asking not like why you shouldn't, all of these things. I was like, go for it. And I did. And so a souvenir is, and one for the listeners is if there's something you really want to do, like, I don't know if this thing's going to be big. I don't know what this podcast is going to look like in the future. I have hopes and aspirations for it, that it will be something that is a staple in people's lives. But I am so happy that I just tried. And I feel like that's the souvenir. Again, courage, which was my word for, but that's something I'm bringing with me, just going for it, because I was always kind of not necessarily wallflower, but I didn't actually I wasn't going to speak. I wasn't going to like raise my hand or like volunteer on my own creativity. I had my own doubts, and this has brought me so much joy that that's a souvenir that I'm taking with me. And also that I love being an advocate and standing up for the global community. And my advocacy has been reignited. I feel galvanized, and that's never going to leave my fight and intention for liberation for the world. So I'm taking that with me as a souvenir.
That's
what
awesome.
About you?
Those are really awesome and very powerful. I would say the first one I'm taking with me, my first souvenir, is continuing to deprioritize my addiction to men. That, I mean, I have a long history, and that's another episode for another day, but that has given me so much more clarity and room to think about other things, such as, am I happy with my career? Where do I want to still live here? Whatever. But just I feel like I worshiped and idolized them a lot. And so just deprioritizing them, I'm taking that with me because I've seen nothing but great things. Secondly, my favorite Kim Kardashian said this, but too much advice can be bad advice. So for me, really learning to stop treating my life like it's a democracy. I don't need a board of directors or CEOs or executives to help me find a plan. I think that was because I wasn't trusting myself and listening to my own intuition. So
Mm-hmm.
that's coming with me because, again, I have seen so much growth and a peace of mind when I stopped asking people for their advice.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Well, I'm excited to walk into 2024. I'm so happy that I met you and that we clicked and that we can see each other's triumphs. And if we suck and fall, we can pick each other up. And I think that's super important, guys. I think that's another thing. Community. If you
Mhm.
want a resolution, maybe build a community because
Mhm.
you've got to lean on, you can't carry it all, and building a community, a healthy one, is one that lasts a lifetime. So yeah. Bridget, any final thoughts before we close out?
This was very awesome to share with you. Like I said, Lauren, you have been a great person to meet in 2023. I'm so proud of you and your podcast. And even in our private talks, you have given me, so much. You've been a cheerleader for some of the dreams and things that I've discussed. And you have liked me organically, me showing up as who I am. So I'm very appreciative of you. I'm very appreciative of all the lessons that I've received, all of the mistakes that I've made. I'm proud of those too. And if you want to find me, you're more than welcome. I'm on Instagram, Brigette Stanley, Brigettee, traditional spelling for Stanley, and I will be there.
Well, thank you so much. Like, I feel like, oh, that was so sweet. You're a treasure. I'm so happy I met you. You guys, you know where to find me on Instagram. It's check in your baggage. You can go to my website, which is check your bags, and my TikTok is check in your bags because baggage claim was taken. As always, I like to say on this podcast, everyone has baggage. It can be positive, it can be negative, it could just be something you're carrying around. And the gift of each day is you can choose what you carry. Some things you can put down. Thank you, as always, for listening. Please like, share, and review this podcast. And Happy New Year. I'll talk to y'all in 2024. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining, Bridget.
Of course.
Okay. Hey, listeners, are you still there? I just wanted to throw out there that if you're listening to this in January, hello 2024. And if you're closing out 2023, I really hope that it's magical. As always, I think that we should, like Michael Jackson said, look at the man in the mirror. What's happening around the globe, I know it could be easy to ignore, especially if you're in the States. But what's happening is a tragedy and it's a genocide, and every voice is needed. Every post is needed. Every just thoughts, love, and action is needed right now. We only have one planet that we can live on, and we have to figure out a way to live on it together. Anyway, as always, Happy New Year, and thank you for listening to Baggage Claim.